Because as a 1-3 profile, I tend to do a lot of research, and then I kind of take a break and experiment as a pure generator, 1-3 profile. When I first learned about human design, it was marketed towards like, oh, once you like, this will be the roadmap, the path to your higher self, to your highest purpose, like what you are meant for. Like things will come easy because you'll be living you'll be living your design. So like this is like the roadmap, or like the map inside you that will lead you to like perfection of like what you're meant for this world. And that just wasn't my experience. First of all, this happened, I guess, in 2018, 2019. This all happened when I first had like my first spiritual awakening. But just like things were basically falling apart, and I learned about human design a little bit later after I had like my spiritual awakening, and it was just not fun. And I think that's how it's marketed towards. That's how people get the sales of the human design readings. And honestly, don't get me started on that. I think I will make separate videos on that, but my opinion about marketing human design is that people are using it as like, oh, I'll take pieces there and pieces there. But honestly, in order to truly elevate in this, and Ra even calls the system is not the human design system, but the system is like the conditioned self. So like society and this year is when I got back into human design. So I got into human design. First I got into human design in I had like my awakening in 2018, but I truly think I got really into human design 2019. So it was like, and then I was obsessed. I wanted to research. I even started taking a course which I incorrectly accepted. Thankfully, like nothing, it worked out in my favor. I just had to like pay a small fee. I mean, I didn't like get fully into it, but I was just like studying it, and then it just it sort of just like triggered into just like a whole event. So for me, getting into human design was kind of a catastrophe, because first of all, when you're getting into human design, is you're like, it's basically how the mind works. Is once you like recognize something in your life, that's when it starts like coming up more in your life and becoming like disproportional tower moments, because you start recognizing that thing in your life, and then it's just like, oh my god, it's like everywhere, like what the fuck. So that's what happened with me in human design. Is people would constantly be like, oh, you're a pure generator, and you have this sacral, like you have this guide within you that like you can just like follow. But the problem is I have a lot of trauma. So like a lot of trauma. Like I was like abandoned. I was found on the streets. I don't know if I was abandoned at age 3 in Russia, and then I was adopted at age 9. So I've like, the only memories I have is of the orphanages. So, and even those are like sporadic. So like my trauma is very deeply rooted. So currently I'm trying to get more into, I have the channel, I think it's the channel 49, but I'm trying to get more into my body, because my G center is defined, my sacral obviously is defined because I'm a pure generator, So the 46 and 29, and that's about like the love of the body. And so I'm just now getting into just like actually deconditioning. So my advice is, if you're getting into human design, is like take a year of just like studying your chart and researching it. And I actually would advise, if you can, to not get into like taking courses. My opinion on that is that I believe I incorrectly entered a course because it was a projector, and I believe she was wrongfully living her design. And so like she was pushing me and using the whole marketing, psychological marketing, of where you push buyers to buy your shit, because you tell them like, oh, this is the only chance, this is limited time. And so it creates like a scarcity mindset in the person, and they buy your stuff because they think it's not going to happen again. You're not going to sell that object again, or it's like the only one left. So it's like this scarcity mindset. I was getting all the sign. I think I was listening to my sacral, but it was very faint, and it was giving me the sign of, no, this isn't correct. Because I remember distinctly saying, I just don't know, like I'll have to think about it. My opinion is you'll have a better experience with actually understanding the human design experiment is if you do it yourself, as in you do your own research. Because as a generator, we're thank God, because I don't know what I would do if I was any other way, just because I'm very like knowledgeable, which I guess is my one line, but it's just like generators are like meant to learn about themselves. They're basically meant to be selfish. But we're conditioned that like, oh, like that's not nice. For me, the line 1, the line 3 actually work out perfectly for me, in the sense, even when I didn't know about human design, the line 1 I would see in work, in the sense of like I would like to take in all the information. I would like to know everything that is needed to know. And then I would prefer like having a supervisor there and actually like do the thing and do all the actions, like do the actual job, and have them be like, oh no, that's incorrect, or like, yep, you got that one, but let's work on that. The profile actually makes sense for me. When first learning about human design, I was really frustrated, ironically, because I just like felt it wasn't what people were talking about. Like my experience wasn't what people were saying about it. I feel like because of the line 1 and the line 3, maybe I just like fully went into it. Like when I'm interested in that's the thing. When I'm interested in something, I like focus on it. For me, I was really blocked in my sacral, and it's only now that I'm currently getting into like, okay, what does the sacral sounds make, or like what is my sacral. And I've started actually looking at the actual channels that I have that are either hanging gates or actually connected gates. So I think it's also important to like figure out your strategy and authority, but I would really focus on understanding your authority, and that's center and the channels you have and what the channels mean. Because I think that alone will help clarify misconceptions of what's already out there and your own experience. Oh, I have open ajna, I have open head, I obviously have open throat, because otherwise I would be a manifesting generator since my sacral is defined. But yeah, with like the open head and the open ajna, it's really difficult with being with a line 1 and deconditioning from that, because just like our society is conditioned, we are conditioned, the system is what Ra calls it, but it's basically built for manifestors, because manifestors can initiate. So the whole concept is like, oh, you think of something, that something comes to you, oh, then act on it. Or even like manifesting in spirituality is directed towards the manifestor in HD, because like, oh, you desire something, like manifest it. Like, it's all manifestations, how they're built or how they are portrayed or how they're marketed in spirituality to getting what you want. The dream life is through the mind. Like, oh, if you think it, it'll become reality. So even then, even if human design is technically seen as in spirituality, even in spirituality, the mind is used to make decisions. And in HD, it's said that you'll never make anything, but I know even manifesting generators, they still have to use their sacral, even if they have a defined throat, and have that defined to actually speak. You still have, the point of HD is it's a decision-making tool, and its purpose is to get you out of your mind and get you into your body in order to make decisions for you. So it's like, it's basically just like abandoning the idea that the mind actually knows what you want or what is best for you. And for my experience of deconditioning, now looking back, I remember telling someone like, I feel like I'm going mad, because that's how I felt, because that's how much in my mind I was. And the idea of like, oh, you can't make decisions with your mind. And I've always been like praised, like I'm like very intellectual, like, so for me it was just like, I was already like, I made a big shift in my life. Everything was like falling away and falling apart. And like I was learning about boundaries. So I was already like going through really big changes in my life. And then human design is like, oh, you can't make decisions with your mind. And for me, I'm realizing like I really felt like I was literally going mad, because I mean, thankfully, I basically, as an artist, I basically just used art as my way to respond, because even when we're waiting to respond, that doesn't mean we're just like sitting in a chair and not doing anything. We're like engaging in things that we love and that don't give us frustration, that give us like flow, and that put us in that state of where we feel led up. So if just sitting in a chair and a cup of coffee and watching the world go by is what lights you up, that could be one way of literally waiting to respond. So for me, I just use art. And even there's been some times where I felt frustrated when I was creating, and frustration is the not self. So just like taking a step back